प्रभु जी म्यूट में है आप, सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है हम लोगों को।
चार्ट बॉक्स में लिख दीजिए माता जी।
जी जी।
जय विष्णु पाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्री श्रीमद श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज की ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivastava Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopakapina Shamakunda Radha Kunigiri Govardhana ki Shri Vrindavan Dhama ki Shri Mayapur Dhama ki Gangamaya ki Chamanamaya ki Bhakti Devi ki Tulasi Devi ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki Shainyata Gaura. All glories to Samadhavati. All glories to Samadhavati. All glories to Samadhavati. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Shri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Krishna is talking to Arjuna how you've discussed about karma yoga, you've discussed about jnana yoga. So what is best for me? Right? Because Arjuna has to use it. Means nice, you can discuss so many things, but the point is unless Arjuna can apply it in his life, then how will it be used? So then Krishna then starts explaining to him about how that they're not actually two different paths, maybe different features of one path. Because the point is you're trying to do whatever you're doing in the context of Krishna, whatever it is. So whatever your position in life, as a brahmachari, vanaprastha, grihastha, or sannyasi, you're doing whatever you're doing for Krishna, right? If there's more, if the field itself the environment of it is more detachment, like let's say the vanaprasthas, brahmacharis, and sannyasis, it may have that aspect of jnana yoga to it, but it doesn't mean it's different. You're still engaging that field in Krishna service, right? And karma yoga then means whatever are your activities, you're engaging them in service. So when we see that Krishna again and again in the Bhagavad Gita is saying that perform your duties with knowledge, right? Without attachment, and do it and thinking of Krishna to please Krishna, right? He's always explaining these things. So that means that you're going to do your activities in connection with Krishna. So it doesn't matter if the form of it is more renounced or form of it's not. It's still the same point as whatever it is, you're engaging in Krishna service. Right? It's just like, let's say, if we're cooking. And in cooking, we're cooking something simple, right? And so that what we're cooking that's simple, we're going to offer to Krishna. But let's say we're cooking something very elaborate. It's a special occasion, it's a festival, it's a marriage. So we're cooking very, very elaborate preparations and menus and everything. We're still going to offer it to Krishna. The point is whatever you cook, you offer to Krishna. So
both are equal.
Both are equal. The point is that one may be more elaborate, one may be less elaborate, but that you're cooking to please Krishna, that's one thing. Right? So the same way is you're doing something that deals with more just ordinary daily activities, or you're dealing something that less. It's still about Krishna. Does that make sense? So since it's about Krishna, just like when we're cooking and we're trying to cook it nice, but we're cooking without attachment. Right? We're not thinking, oh, I'm going to eat this, this is going to be so good. No, you're just cooking to please Krishna. Right? Then you offer it to Krishna. Right? So that's karma yoga. Right? So it doesn't matter what it is. Let's say you're going to work. And what's the results of the work going to be used for? It's going to be used to maintain yourself and the family so they can be Krishna conscious. But since that result is for Krishna, therefore you're doing your work without attachment. It doesn't change. So you're cleaning the house, but it's Krishna's house. So you want to clean it nicely because it's Krishna's house, and you're doing it without attachment because it's not your house, it's Krishna's house. Does that make sense? You're paying the bills, but the bills are all there so you can maintain everything and be engaged in Krishna's service. So you're doing it without attachment, and it's for Krishna. Does that make sense? You know, or we see the brahmacharis and they're in the temple, they're living very simply and all that. But that simple living, it's still for Krishna, not for themselves. Right? And then, of course, when we do our daily, offer obeisance to Krishna, we offer our artiks to Krishna, we offer everything to Krishna. Then that's obviously directly devotional activity. But the point is, whatever we're doing, whether it's in the field of knowledge or in the field of action, they're both being done to please Krishna. Right? We're reading Bhagavad Gita, but we're doing it to please Krishna, not because, oh, I'll become a great scholar and then everyone will respect me and like that. No, it's being done to please Krishna. Does that make sense? So it doesn't matter what you're doing. So Arjuna is on the battlefield. He's a warrior. He's not a scholar, right? But he's going to do that activity to please Krishna. Does that make sense? That's the whole point. So that's why he's asking, explain it so it means something to me. Because when you talk karma, then people want to hear how everything that they're doing they can do, and it's yoga. Right? The jnanis want to hear all the technical knowledge. But it's about attachment to karma and attachment to jnana. But it's karma yoga. Jnana yoga means connected with the supreme. It means there's a connection there. So that means all your knowledge, all your activities are for Krishna, because everything requires knowledge, everything requires activity. Even you're detached, right? Brahmacharis in temple, they're still doing something. They're not just, it's not when you go into the temple, they're just sitting there in the lotus position, floating kind of around in the air. When you move to the temple, you just make sure you don't bump into them, you know, like that. You know, because they're just floating around and sometimes they get in the way, you know, like that. No, They're doing things. But it's for them, it's obvious it's for Krishna because it's the temple. It's obviously not theirs. But it's still, they're taking care of the temple for Krishna. Right? The Grihastha ashram, one has a house that you're supposed to take care of it. But technically, it's still Krishna's. You say, no, it's mine. Then take it with you when you go. When you die, take it. You can't. Right? And the next person, they'll come, yes, it's mine. And then they'll be gone. Right? How many people have sat in the, what do you call it? Rastriya Bhavan? Is that what you call it? Rashtrapati. Yes, it means how many people have sat there? Is it theirs when they leave? Did they take it with them? Did Nehru, when it was gone? And they went, in the morning, then all the ministers came and all that to come, to come and sit in the parliament. It's gone. It's kind of just a field. So what happened? Where'd it go? And then they came and said, oh, Nehru took it with him when he died. Right? What about 10 Downing Street? Right? All the prime ministers there. Churchill took it with him. No, it's still there. So no one takes anything with them. So it is our quota. Right? This is for you. You use it. But it's ultimately not yours. Right? So that's the thing. The brahmachari, it's Krishna's temple. He has no sense of possession. Grihastha has a sense of possession, but still he knows it's still Krishna. So he takes care of it for Krishna. But action is there. It's not that, what do you call it? The Grihasthas, they have to get down on their hands and knees and work really hard and sweat when they wipe the floor. And the brahmacharis just kind of sit there and point the rag and go like this, and the whole place is clean, and it goes back in the bucket goes off. This is not a source's apprentice here, right? It's just, no, same work, right? In the temple, you have the cashier, or the treasurer. And then if there's any kind of things, they have to show the accounts and everything, the accountant, chartered accountant will come and check everything like that. It's the same thing. It's not that you have to use all the numbers and all that, and they don't. It's the exact same thing. You're cooking at home and they cook in the temple, but it's different. No, it's exactly the same. Why? Because now you can say, it's all the same, so it's like us. No, you're like that. It's all Krishna's laws, Krishna's rules, right? Something gets cooked because you put it in the pot on the fire, right? If you put it in the pot, don't put it on the fire, does it cook? No, right? If the fire's too hot or too less. So the rules of cooking are the same everywhere, right? Here you're cooking whatever you're cooking at your house. You go next door, they're from a different community. They're cooking something different, right? You go to another state, they cook completely different again. But the principles of cooking are exactly the same, right? Whether you put ghee in the pot, whether you put oil in the pot, when you put the spices in, the ghee has to be hot. The spices cook to a particular color. Then you put in whatever else you're putting in. It's exactly the same. The science of cooking is exactly the same, whether you're cooking Indian, whether you're cooking Thai, Chinese, Mexican, English cooking, French cooking, it doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. They may prefer this spice or not that spice. That may be there. But the principle of cooking, just like driving, you drive here and you have a license, you can drive somewhere else in the world. It's not that, when you get somewhere else, it doesn't work like that. Right? It may be slightly different on a boat. When you turn this way, the boat goes that way. And when you turn this way, the boat goes that way, right? When you turn this way in the car goes that way, right? Because in the car, the steering is at the front. So you turn this way, the wheels turn this way, it goes that way. But in the boat, you turn it this way, that means the rudder goes like this and it turns like that because it's at the back. But once you know that, any boat is like that, right? You want to go swimming, right? You go over I mean, so this side, I don't know, you're right in the middle, right? So whether you go over to, Chennai side of Mahabalipuram, or you go over to Udupi to the beach there, the two different oceans. It's not that it's different. Or we have this lake here in the city. I don't know if you can swim in that or if it's completely polluted, but whatever it is, the swimming's the same. Walking, you walk here in Bangalore. It's not when you go to Delhi, then you have to walk backwards or something, or you hop sideways. No, it's the same. Right? You put on your shirt here, the buttons work the same. Let's say you go to England, the buttons still work the same. You understand? The science of it is exactly the same. You can do business here, you can do business anywhere. That makes sense? Otherwise, how is it you have these guys in Gujarat that I don't know about now, but when they went into the Western market, these are guys that they may or may not be able to read or write. Because you don't have to. You hire a guy to do that, right? You're a businessman. You don't have to read and write. You hire the guy to read and write for you. And they took over the diamond market in Rotterdam, in Holland. That's been controlled by the Jews for hundreds of years. And in the West, it's known the Jews are the best businessmen. They're like over here, what do you have, the Marwaris and like this, So that's what they do. They took over. Because business is business. It's not different. Just like cooking's cooking, everything's the same. Why? Because it's God's laws. It's Krishna's laws. You drop something, it goes down. It's not that when you go to China, you drop it and you have to watch out that it'll hit the fan and break into pieces. It's always the same. So the whole point is it's just a matter if there's a sense of possession or not. This is mine or it's not. Right? So in the temple, you shouldn't have a sense of possession, because if you do, it's a problem. Right? So the brahmacharis, and then they had a sense of possession. This is mine. I sleep in this corner. Anyone else sleeps there, it's a problem. Everyone wants to sleep in that corner, right? Because the windows are there, it gets the breeze, it's like that. Everyone wants that. So whoever's quickest gets the corner. Right? So that's the way it is. I remember, sometimes the temple had so many devotees, we slept on the stair, the landing. The stair goes up and then there's that flat place and then the stair goes again. Sleeping on the landing. It was the only good place to sleep because everywhere else was packed. Right? So you sleep wherever. It's not yours. Right? Does that make sense? Grihastha can have the sense that it's mine, but it doesn't work very well, because then you're attached, it's mine, then all the anxiety comes up. But no, it's Krishna's. But the difference is the Grihastha has the responsibility to take care of this. The brahmachari, he does what he's told. So he's in this temple, he takes care. But if tomorrow they say, oh, go here, then he goes there. He takes care over there. That makes sense? So if a grihastha has that attack, he may start with that, but with time he understands, no, it's Krishna's, because ultimately it is. It's not going anywhere. Because everything has to be done, right? They're cooking for Krishna, and I worked so hard, I cut all the vegetables, I washed them, I put them in the pot, I stir them around. So now it's mine. So we can say, well, I built the house, I did this, I got the money. So the temple, how did that happen? People worked, they went, they got the money. It's like they're doing the TOVP now. So there's one main devotee who oversees the collection and all that. The TOVP will be done. It won't be his. It won't be his. So that's the point. That's what makes it devotional service, when you know it's not yours. You can become comfortable. He knows that no one else is going to come in because it's not yours. It's Krishna's. Doesn't mean that now, tomorrow the brahmacharis will come and say, oh, okay, yeah, okay. So this one you made your office, this one here, and they all move in and all that. No, that's not. Because this is your quota. You understand? But the point is, the principle of it, that you're using that area, that facility in Krishna's service, and the brahmacharis are using theirs in the Lord's service. It's the same. That's why technically there's no difference between karma yoga and jnana yoga. Jnana yoga means you contemplate more the knowledge of it and connect it to Krishna. And karma yoga means you're contemplating more the knowledge, the skill and activity and connecting it to Krishna. That's the difference. No? Like that. And so with time, it's natural. As you do an activity, you become more detached, you have more knowledge, and so then you start working like that. But the environment stays, Grihastha, he starts like that, he maybe have more attachment, but as time goes, there's less attachment. But this point is the activity is the same. The mentality changes. So that's why it's one path, it's just two features of the path. That makes sense? It's just like, let's say we have a chapati. Okay? You cook the chapati, and then you put ghee on it. The ghee is on one side. So does that mean that that side with the ghee is better than the side without the ghee? But when you eat that, it doesn't matter. One side without, one side with. When you break off a piece, it's still all got ghee. That makes sense. It's one thing. It's one chapati, not as two chapatis. That makes sense. It puffs up, right? So it looks like it's two. It's still one. Not that when you cook it and then the one lifts off and that stays in the pan and you have to make, somebody has to stand there to catch the one as it lifts off and goes up. So someone has to catch that. But generally that one, it works out because that one can also put it down and put the ghee on the top. Unless you want it on the bottom one like that, and then that person like that. But whatever, someone has to catch it. Someone else is dealing with the bottom, right? Isn't that how you cook chapati? Because whenever you do, when it puffs up, then it breaks and floats off, right? No? No. Okay. So it's one thing. So that's the whole thing. Just because there's features of that doesn't mean it's different. This is one house, but you use this part differently than that part and that part, but it's all part of one thing. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's the whole point. It's the karma yoga, the jnana yoga. They're the same. They're just different features of one thing. Because when you connect it to Krishna, they become one thing. If you're a materialist, then they're not one thing. Then they're not one thing. Right? For the karmis, they're doing all their, they have their house, they're doing their pujas and all that. They worship the Lord, and they have devotion and all that. But just there, when they're at the temple, they have that devotion. When they go home, then it's their house, everything's there. Right? God's part of their life. You ask them, they believe in God, but only as part of their life, not as their life. So it's God connects to them rather than they connect to God. Does that make sense? Right? So even those who it's about the absolute truth, but it's about the absolute truth in connection with them. I will become Brahman. I will be God. I will be free from all. So it's all, they say there is no individuality, but they all talk about Aham Brahmasmi. Just say Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi is against the philosophy because there is no Aham, according to their philosophy. So why do they say Aham Brahmasmi? They should just say Brahmasmi. No? But even the Asmi means it's the first person, in the first person singular. They should just say Brahman or Brahma. Or better, they just go Om. But Om is still AUM, so they still have a problem. You know what I'm saying? So it's materialistic. Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha is materialistic. Liberation, it looks like it's okay. It's spiritual. It means they're dealing with the spiritual platform, just like you go to the temple. The devotee goes to the temple, prays to Krishna, please let me be your servant. The materialist, who believes in God, goes to the temple. Oh God, but the exams are coming up. Please let my son pass so he can get a good job. Like that. They're going to the Lord, but they're only going to the Lord for stuff with them. It's not about how I'm going to surrender to you and serve. No. So are they the same? Right? No, because one, it's about pleasing God, and the other one, I mean, pleasing God as a person. The other one is only about making him happy so I get what I want. Like you go to the, let's say, you have some paper that has to sign for some important work. You know, you're starting a business or your house or this or that, whatever it is, you know, you have to go see some secretary somewhere. So you try to make him happy, but is it that you care about him as a person that you're trying to make him happy? Or you're only trying to make him happy so he signs the paper and stamps it so you can go and get done your work? You might take him something, smile, you know, talk about, you know, pleasant things, but it's only so he'll sign your paper. It has nothing to do with him as a person.
We want response from Krishna.
Yes, but the point is there is interaction, but it should be about pleasing them. Just like, let's say you're dealing with the grandchildren, right? You want a response, but it's about them being happy. It's about them being happy, not about you being happy. You're happy if they're happy, right? But if you go to the secretary, it's not that they're happy, you're happy. He signs your paper, they're happy. Because if you go in and talk and he laughs and you have a good rapport, but he doesn't sign your paper, you're not happy. No? Right? So it's about you getting something done. It means they're part of your life, but they're an anga, they're a branch of that. It's not the core life. So devotee means God's the core of the life. He's not a branch. So this is where you tell the difference between those who worship God and those who are surrendered to God. Right?
We have to understand.
Yes, because then you see there's a difference. You know, it's just like, let us say you are meeting some big guy, you know, or let's say, I don't know if you have it here, that sometimes the big politicians, they go out and meet with the people, you know, and if you're right there at the front where the cordon is, you know, sometimes you're there with the kids and they may come by, shake your hand and, oh, who is this? They talk about the kid. Oh, this is, you know, whatever. And, oh, nice kid. Yeah, you know, like that. You're doing your school nicely, you know, listening to your parents. Yes. Oh, very good. And then he moves on. He couldn't care less about your child. He wants your vote. But it's etiquette, it's culture. He deals nicely. But it's not technically about your child. He just deals nicely with children. But it's not about an individual child. But your child, it's about your child. Right? That's the personal aspect. That I deal with children nicely, that's impersonal. It's culture. I'll deal with all children nicely. But it's about children, not about an individual. But in your family, the children there, it's about them. So there's a difference in the response. One's personal, one's not personal. So one's mechanical and one's done with feeling. That's the difference between the devotee who's surrendered to Krishna, and it's about Krishna, but everything he does stays exactly the same. Now it's just about Krishna, right? And then then for the others, it's that when they need, then they do all these things, but otherwise they don't. Does that make sense? Just like, let's say you're out and let's say you're in somewhere and you're on the, you know, traveling or on the you know, whatever it is, of public transport or something, on, you know, the airport or the bus stand or on the train, and there's a kid there and that, and yeah, sit down, you know, take care, you know, everything's all right. Does that make sense? I've seen, like, you know, on the Calcutta metro, very packed. Nothing like Bombay. That's like insane. That's not how you say it? That's not for humans. Humans should not get on the metro in Bombay. Because the funny part, like Calcutta, it doesn't matter how packed it is, no one bumps into each other. Let's say the sidewalk's this wide, and in this much space, there's 30 people. You walk, you won't bump into anybody. You know, they're so aware. But I remember you stay on the metro, you're there, you're standing, and there was some guys sitting there, and there was a lady with a small kid standing also. So the guys who were sitting there moved a little bit and gave a space for the kid to sit. Right? And the mother put the kid there and they're holding on to make sure they don't fall off and everything. because it's just kids. You take care of kids. That's the way, that's human life, right? And so then, because the kid would fit. Kid's this big, the mom won't fit. She's this big, so you can't put, right? Does that make sense? But the kid can sit. If there was less space, they would have moved over. The mother and kid was set. But whatever it is, it was like that. You couldn't move anyway. So the point is this, but it's about kids, and they deal very nicely. But it's not about that kid. There's a difference. So one's personal, one's impersonal. It doesn't mean the impersonal, you're not dealing and doing the etiquette. That's why there's so much misunderstanding about, in the general kind of, Hindu scene, that everybody is worshiping God and everybody's personal. But no, most are impersonal. They're worshiping God only as part of their life, and their ultimate thing is it's impersonal. It's not really about God. It's only about God's the guy that can give you stuff. That's why you deal with him. But if he didn't give you stuff, you wouldn't deal. Right? Right? Just like, let's say you want to get something signed for, some particular purpose. You're going to go to that secretary's office, not another secretary. Right? So it's only because he gets the work done. Right? But devotees, it's about Krishna as a person. You interact with him as a person. Does that make sense? So that's the thing, is that you have the culture of something, or the religion. The religion means the nature, just like we were saying, cooking. It has a religion. There's a nature. You do it in that way, it works. You don't do it in that way, it doesn't work. Right? You go against those rules. Like sometimes you see these guys get into fusion cooking and this and that. If they're really good, they follow the laws, they can make it work and do amazing stuff. But if they just think, oh, I'll put this with that and do this and see how great I am, it's not necessarily that it's nice. Does that make sense? So you have to follow the rules. Then it becomes good. Does that make sense? So you know the rules of cooking, then you can do. Does that make sense? So religion means the laws, God's laws on how family works, on how children work, on how business works, on how transportation works. Does that make sense? It's all Krishna's law. How that works, it's Krishna. It's not someone else's law, right? It's not that India's made different laws on how nature works, right? India's decided that, it's going to be really hot here. Not so cold, but really hot. And it's been passed in Parliament. It was majority. A few people didn't like so much the heat, but that was generally the guys from Srinagar and those places up north and all that. They didn't like, but most of the people was that, and they preferred like that. Well, if you go to Germany, then the government there, they decided no, it's going to be cold. Cold winds blowing off the Baltic Ocean and all that, right? Isn't it? And then you go across on the other side, like Finland, they decided, no, we want nice warm breezes blowing off the Baltic. And even though we're in the Arctic Circle, we actually want it nice and warm up here. Is that how it works? Every government decides, first when you start a new country, the government has to decide, does a gravity work or not? Like that. Do we breathe air or not? Because if we don't breathe air, we can pollute it all we want. It's really good for industry. So then if we just pass a law, no one has to breathe, then we don't have to worry about all these things, right? No, but that's not how it works. It's God's laws. That's the way it is. It's hot. That's the way it is. You like it, don't like it. It's not going to change. You can get yourself an AC or put on a fan, but you can't change that it's hot outside. Right? That you can't change. So that's the point. It's God's laws. So if we understand everything works by God's laws, therefore, in your home and all that, you follow those laws, it will be prosperous. That's what's called piety or punya. Those who follow God's laws, it's called punya. And you'll generally see the families, everything generally goes nicely in generations. And it's more, it's a material world, so it's always going to be a problem. like that. But getting there. He's working on it. Just has to get one more zero and then he's made it. Right? That makes sense, right? So there's no change in that. So people who are impious, they don't know how to follow it. Just like before, families who work nicely together, families would be here. There's always going to be a little problems here and there. That's just the way it is. But now they decide, oh, everyone's going to do their own thing, and we're going to do all whatever it is like that, you know, like that. I watch Grey's Anatomy, so I know how people deal and all this and that. And then like that, or what is it? Desperate Housewives, you know. And so I've seen all these things. So now I know how, you know, the Western culture works. So we're gonna deal like that. Does the family work better? Is the food better? Why do you have these things? These everything you see is ads. It's half of it's on food because people don't know how to cook, don't want to cook. They'll deliver you food. They say in 10 minutes. How is it possible in 10 minutes? I guarantee if you live next door to the place, they couldn't get it to you in 10 minutes. Right? But they say 10 minutes, anything you want. No, isn't that the thing? They're all saying that. 10 minutes. Where is the 10 minutes going to happen? Even in the West, they say they'll deliver the pizza within 30 minutes. They never say 10 minutes. Like this. But whatever it is, because people don't know how to cook, don't want to cook. Don't know how to shop. You go to the market, you buy everything you need. You know what you're going to cook, you know what you're going to do, so you buy everything. And of course, you know, something looks interesting, you might buy something that you weren't planning to buy. Like that. But here, these people don't know how to shop. They go to the market, they don't buy anything. They get themselves a smoothie or they get themselves a coffee and like that and sit around and talk and do something, you know, on their phone and all that, and they're all cool. But they don't know how to shop. Otherwise, why do these guys want these? How do you make business? You find a space. Something, nobody's doing this. You find that, you make it into a business. So people don't know how to shop. Before, if this came out 40 years ago, would people go for this? Because why do I want you to shop for me? Why would I want you to cook for me? My mother cooks better than you. Like 10 of you couldn't cook like my mother. Right? So there's no question. Shop, I want to see it myself. I want to buy it myself. You know? So it wouldn't work. But now it works because no one knows how to do these things. So that's how it works. Someone's seen the opportunity, they're taking it, and they're making money. You know? How you follow? So the point is that you follow God's laws, things work. So people don't follow, they've taken up this new, oh, we don't care about all these things. Those are ancient Hindu things, and we don't care. We're modern, we're this, we're that. How you say, we're going to hell in a bucket, and we're enjoying the ride. Right? But the point is it's not happening. It's not working. The quality of life is not better. You know, we were just discussing yesterday that the last time I can remember being in Bangalore, that I remember, was I think in the 80s, or maybe latest 90s. I think I came in the 80s once. I think I came in the 90s. And all I remember is Mahatma Gandhi Road. Big wide road, at least in there, not so many vehicles. You could actually see the road. You could actually see the sidewalks, big shops. I remember the cottage industries was there. I don't know if they still are, right on the corner of two main roads like that. And there's trees everywhere, you know, it's very pleasant, like that. And so whether that's, Prabhu was saying it's not like that anymore. You know? So that was nice. So is the quality of life better? You know, how is it better? Right? It's more noisy. There's more traffic. There's more air pollution. It's harder to get things. It costs more. There's no space. You know, so how is it better? They'll say, oh, it's better. I got my phone. Okay, your phone's better. How about everything else in your life? You know? that make sense? It's just like you have your bathroom up there. I'm using that one bathroom. It's like half the size of this room. It's the bathroom. And so it's good enough space. You can hang things, you can dry yourself without hitting the wall. You can do stuff. You can pour water, you don't have to worry about anything like that. But when I was in Maturu, there the bathroom would be from there to here. That's big. The same thing. Tap, water, toilet, it's all in that much space. You have to do everything, keep your elbows in. Don't let your elbows go out. Put everything nicely. When you put your gumsha, some will stick out like this. You have to grab that so it doesn't stick out, because that will touch something. And then you can't do like this. You have to kind of grab it closer and do like this. So how is that better? At least it was a bathroom. Oh, you have an attached bath. That was an attached bath. Oh, it's attached bath. Ooh, okay, yeah. Before we didn't have attached bath. It was another place. Yeah, but it was 10 times bigger. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's the illusion is Maya. One is the covering potency. She first covers and then she throws. If she throws and you're not covered, you'll notice the difference. But if you're covered and she throws, you won't notice. So first she covers and you think, oh, this is fabulous. Then she'll throw you. And then you'll think, this is great. I got an attached bath. Does that make sense? Yeah. So the point is now following Krishna's laws, then if everybody does that, then you're going to have a nice culture. Like in India, at least now it's less, but mostly any state, anywhere, any family, whether they're very simple or very wealthy or not more sophisticated or less, basically the same experience is there. It's just the quality of facility. You have a bigger house or smaller. Instead of eating off of stainless steel, you eat off of silver. Stuff like that. That's the difference you'll see. But the quality of the food you eat is the same. The quality of service, the quality of mood, the taste, it's the same. The culture is the same because that culture is following God's laws. So then it's all the same. Slight details are different. Does that make sense? But it's all the same. So now the whole point is as we said before, that's in general, and then in specific, it's still the same. Wherever you are in the Varna ashram, it's the same. You're doing your work for Krishna. And you have as much knowledge and understanding about it as possible, and do it to please Krishna. That's what you're trying to do. Therefore, the Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga aren't separate. They're one path. Krishna says there's one path. But the point that makes the one path is the bhakti. So the more it's devotional, you're going towards Krishna. The less it's devotional, you're going away from Krishna. Because at least there's that aspect of, okay, it's God's laws, I should follow because it makes God happy. Not that I want to surrender, but just he's in control. I should, just like I want to make the government happy. I don't want to do something that the government, I don't drive down the wrong side of on the sidewalk, let's say. You have the mall, and it's for walking, and I drive my car through there. They do it in the movies, but whatever it is, they paid a lot of money to close that off and just put people in there and like that. So you can't do that. You want to pay $10,000, for 2 hours, then you can do it, but you can't just go and drive, right? But it makes it look. But the point is you follow the laws. You don't want to displease the government because it'll be a problem for you, right? You park in a place you're not supposed to park, and then you come back, your car is gone. Then you have to go down to the pound, you have to find it, you have to pay the money, you have to do this and that, and it's a big trip. So people just avoid it, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. So therefore, you have that quality of people there, at least. So previously in the Vedic culture, that was generally the least. The least devotional person was that. He'll follow God's laws because it's less trouble to follow them, and I get more benefit. Below that, generally you didn't get. But the idea was then above that, people were trying for moksha, then you have those sort of devotion. But now as they're dropping down to the lower things, just about the economics and the justice and the equality, or just about me, what about me? What do I want to do? This is me. I wear like this. It's so much me. Like that. So it drops down, but it gives less result. So you're moving away from Krishna, right? And getting a worse result. The other ones are towards Krishna, but they're back towards Krishna. Those who accept Krishna's laws, but aren't worshiping him, as devotion, they're closer to Krishna, but they're back to Krishna. Right? Those on the moksha, they're also closer to Krishna than that, but they're back to Krishna. That's why they're looking this way. That's why they come down. Right? But the devotee is looking the other way. He's looking at Krishna. He may be farther away, but he starts moving towards Krishna. So it's one path. This ends more karma, that ends more jnana, but it's still one path. It's still about Krishna, knowledge about Krishna, activity for Krishna with knowledge of Krishna, to please Krishna. One path. Then you just see where you're situated and then apply yourself. Right? How much attachment, how much detachment, how much knowledge, how much knowledge. But it's all, the point is, I'll use it all for Krishna. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Any question?
If both the paths are same for Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, then is it like we should just think that we are doing nice?
We think bhakti.
Yeah,
Because means, in other words, like here, we're discussing knowledge about Krishna.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's jnana yoga. We're using the technique of it for Krishna, but for us it's bhakti. You're hearing and chanting about Krishna. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're cooking, it doesn't mean now it's karma. You're cooking for Krishna. Like that. It's just like you have this road out here. So what goes on that road? Everything goes on that road. I mean, like literally everything.
Yeah.
So, but it's one road. You understand? It's not it's not two different roads. Not there's karma yoga, there's jnana yoga. No, it's just two different. It's different vehicles on the same road. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Grihastha and Brahmachari, both actually, who was very quickly to Krishna?
That's who's more devotional.
And it depends on the.
Yeah, means for the brahmachari, there's less to get in the way. Right? So Prabhupada mentions the brahmacharis start at 50% close to Krishna. Does that make sense? Grihastha start at 25% towards Krishna. Because they have more baggage. They can take my house, get distracted, my money, my family. So that 25% is those things. But if you understand it's all connected to Krishna, that puts you at 50. The Grihastha brahmachari means everything's for Krishna. Does that make sense? So that's the point. Then it's up there. But now it's that you have to continue that to keep going. You want to get to 100%. No? So that's the thing. Just they have an advantage. They start there. Now, the ones that can stay there, then they maintain that advantage. But otherwise, in the Vedic culture, everybody starts in brahmachari ashram. So they get the training. Then after getting trained, then they may get married, if that's the inclination. And then they'll be good grihasthas. Right? And if not, they remain brahmacharis and continue on that. It's whichever works best for you. You see how much attachment is there and what facilities you have. Even if you have attachment, but you have no way to generate any facility, why get married? Right? Isn't it? It means, let's say you have the scenario that the guy's a teenager, he's 18 years old, he likes a 16-year-old girl, they live at home, he has no job, he has no education, like that. It means he's finished high school, he's going on to college, but he hasn't done it yet. He hasn't anything. He has no plans in life. Should they get married? Why not? They have love. They have attachment. They have desire. We can put on some music, and spin around, put the fan on so it blows in the hair, right? That
They are not ready.
they're not ready. Why not? What's not ready?
Beating the obstacles or any kind of situations.
Okay, let's say he just knows how to deal with things, but he can't make any money. He can tell you what you should do, but he can't make any money off that. Should he get married or not? You understand? If you can't generate the facility for Grihastha life, why get married? Grihastha life means you need facility. Right? They get married in the temple, right? Okay, brahmachari and the brahmacharini, they decide to get married. So, add as a consideration, the brahmachari says, well, this is the best corner. You can sleep here. I'll sleep here. So like that. Is that, and then that's Grihastha ashram. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's facility. You need facility. That's why it's called Grihastha. He has a griha. It doesn't say, I say nothing asta, right? So in other words, even if someone's interested in getting married, if he has no facility, he doesn't get married. Right? Isn't it? So he goes, he gets his degree, he gets his experience, he gets his job, he gets his money, he starts putting money away, he buys himself a house, he gets everything like this. So now he's ready to get married. Right? So then he's 27, 28, then he's getting married. Right? Well, before, when you had the joint families, it's all yours. So they could get married younger because they took up responsibility. They do things that they didn't have to create the field. But now you don't have the joint family, so they have to get married later because they have to make it themselves. But before, you had this big monster house. Everyone lives in the house, plenty of facilities. It's big enough for 10 brothers to live there. So if there's, 5 brothers, and the kids are there, it's still big enough for them. So then they just start taking responsibility. And when do they start taking responsibility? From 12, they start learning how to do things in the house and the house business and in the thing. So by the time they're 18, 20, when it's time they can get married, they can get married. They're already responsible. They're already doing things. But the other guy, no, the modern thing, no. When you're 17, 18, you finish high school. You've done your, what is it, A level or O level, which is higher?
It's high school, yeah, normally.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, now they don't do the A level, O level anymore. Oh, it's all disappeared. I think it's gone to America.
No, it's for international.
Oh, okay, international. Okay, but the thing is what can you do anything with that? Can you get a job with that? No. You want to work down at Domino's Pizza? You can get a job, but you can probably not do that and still get a job. So why not start working at 16 and make money instead of spending it on your education? So the point is that you have to do these things. This is the way the modern society. That's what we're saying. It's so much better, but is it? You're getting married at 28 instead of 18. Does that make sense? So instead of you've had all your kids, and by the time you're 30, you've had all your kids and they all grow up and everything like that. No, you had last be when you're 50. And then what? You know what I'm saying? Then you can't even bend over to pick up the grandchildren, right? You know what I'm saying? It's a problem. So, but somehow or another, it's better. Is it? So that's the whole thing, is that you follow Krishna's laws, then it works very nicely. It's designed like that. So the whole thing is you have to have that facility. Then you can be a grihastha. So it's not just you want to be a grihastha, it has to have the facility. Just like, okay, let's say you have the desire to be a crorepati, but you have no business ability. Are you going to become a crorepati? No. But if you have enough skill, maybe you could work in an office, in somebody's office who is a crorepati. He'll pay you and you'll make something. You're smart, you can put something away, you can have some, you know how to deal. You'll do well. You can buy things, you can do things like that. But you won't be a crorepati. So just because someone wants to be grihastha, that's not enough. You have to have the ability to be a grihastha. So that means that's the training. So brahmachari life is there, in the family, then that training is there, then you can do it. Okay. So the only thing that's universal is devotional service, because all souls are servants of Krishna. All souls can become servant of Krishna. So then with some training in that, then you can become very nice and advanced in devotion. Does that make sense? Yeah, so Krishna consciousness is very practical. The Vedic culture is very practical. Problem is people don't study it, they take it for granted. Right? There's the thing is that it'll happen automatically. Why will it happen? Anything else happens automatically? You'll get into MIT automatically. I want to. I'll get into MIT. What about going to school? No, I just want to. I'll get into it. What about grades? Why aren't you focusing on your math and science? No, I want to. I don't have to. But somehow or another, I want to. Therefore, I'm a great devotee. Well, why not do something? Be trained. That's the way it is in everything else. So therefore, then that's why we have the Sangha. We come together, we discuss about Krishna, we read about Krishna, we do service to Krishna. And then Krishna reveals himself from within the heart. He reveals, and then you know. So nowadays, before it was, they knew why they did things. They were following the Vedic culture, they knew why. Then with time, they're following the Vedic culture, they don't know why. Then when the kids get too modernized, they ask why. The parents can't say, oh, we've already done it. That's our family tradition. So some kids may go with it, another generation, maybe two, but at some point they're not going to buy it. They're going to say, well, unless you can say why, I'm not doing it. And then it's gone. I think then you have what's technically called ABCD. No? Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know? You're not catching it. American-born confused Deshi. American-born confused Deshi. Doesn't make any sense? Doesn't make any sense. Something. Indians, he's moved to America, right? He sets himself up. His kids are born in America. They're Indian. At home it's Indian. They talk Indian. They eat Indian. But at the same time, he thinks I'm American and all this and that. So he's confused. Do I do it like the Americans? Do I do it like Indians? He's in between. His children will be completely American. Right? Whoever goes there, their grandchildren, 100% American. Their children, 50%. So it's gone. But now you don't even have to go there. It's been important. The culture has been important. No? Yeah, so then you can do here. You don't even have to go there to get it. Easier. Right? So the point is you should know why you're doing things. Then you explain it. You just tell the child, yeah, just do some business. Yeah, just do business. Or you're watching. Like I don't know now, but I remember before you go into these big cloth shops, really, really big cloth shops. That's where I saw it. I'm sure it's another place. And all the guys are there, the hired guys are there throwing out the saris and doing all the different things. And there's some main guy sitting around doing like that. But over in the corner, you'll see there's one little desk there. There's an old guy there. He's got his beads. He's got some pictures of, Krishna and that. He's sitting there and chanting and all that. But he's chanting, but he has his eye on everything in the shop. And when he sees something's going wrong in the shop, he's telling his son, did you see that? Are you doing that? That makes sense? So he knows if you're not careful about this, you won't make money. But are we having the same knowledge, the same eye that you do this, and make a mistake in devotional service, you won't advance? Can we explain devotional service as much as we can explain business? That makes sense? That's the whole point. When you can explain it, because kids ask questions, right? Like that, 3 to 5, like that. Even up to 6, they start why. do this. Why? Just do it. You know, it's okay. But then they may do it if they're like, but what if they don't? You explain to them, then they know why they're doing it. And they'll ask a million questions. You answer all those million questions, they as they grow up, they'll do. And because you've answered the questions, they can now say to their children. If you don't answer the questions, they won't be able to answer their children's questions. You can't take the culture for granted. It'll automatically happen. We're Indians, automatically it'll be there. No, unless you train them in it, it won't happen. Just like unless you train them in business, it won't happen. Unless you train them and you go to school to a particular degree, it won't happen. You want to get into IIT, it's because you train for it. It doesn't happen on its own. Does that make sense? You know, there's training. That's why it works. So in everything, there's training. Yeah, no. So in that way, then, if with proper training and association, then one sees how all these aspects of one path can be connected to Krishna and used in Krishna's service. Then it works very good. Okay? Okay. You probably end here, sorry. No? Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveta Bhakti ki, Jai Gaur.
Yeah, Babuji. It was 12 devotees are there. 12 devotees are there. कुछ पूछना है? पूछ सकते हो? हरे कृष्णा.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Understanding Krishna and worshipping Krishna. Difference or what?
पूछना है? पूछ.
I had one small, one quick question.
Hare Krishna, Uttaji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, so there was Maharaj. कुछ सुंदर क्लास दी आज. ओके, कौन कौन है यहाँ पे आज हमारे साथ?
प्रभुजी गृहस्थ आश्रम में जो बता रहे थे वो बताइए जरा, एक्सप्लेन कीजिए.
महाराज जी, उस समय ना एक प्रभुजी ने प्रश्न पूछा था कि गृहस्थों में और ब्रह्मचारी में कौन भगवान के पास जल्दी जाता है. तो ये प्रश्न था. प्रभु जो महाराज ने इसके ऊपर उत्तर दिया ऐसा कि ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि कौन जल्दी जाएगा. ऑफ कोर्स फैसिलिटीज तो होती है. ब्रह्मचारी जो होते हैं वो थोड़ा थोड़ा उनके जीवन में ऑब्स्टेकल थोड़े कम होते हैं. ब्रह्मचारी में ऑब्स्टेकल ज्यादा होते हैं. सॉरी, गृहस्थ में ऑब्स्टेकल ज्यादा होते हैं. पर डिपेंड्स कि आप कौन ज्यादा सिंसियरली आगे बढ़ रहा है, उतना ही. तो वो प्रश्न पूछा था गृहस्थ और ब्रह्मचारी के बीच में. तो या और उन्होंने बाद में बताया कि उस कंटिन्यू महाराज ने ऐसा दिया कि ऐसा जरूरी नहीं कि क्या होना चाहिए. तो पॉइंट है कि हमें ट्रेनिंग कैसे मिलनी चाहिए, चाहे ब्रह्मचारी हो चाहे प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग, प्रॉपर तैयारी के साथ हमें उस कोई व्यक्ति गृहस्थ बनना चाहता है तो उसकी पूरी तैयारी के साथ गृहस्थ बनना चाहिए. अब आपको ब्रह्मचारी में तो ट्रेनिंग तो मिलती है. तो ट्रेनिंग के उनका फोकस ज़्यादा था. अंत में तो बताया मैंने कि हाँ, ट्रेनिंग आवश्यक है एक गृहस्थों के लिए, इवन ब्रह्मचारियों के लिए भी. एक हमारे कल्चर, हमारी जो संस्कृति है उसको आगे बढ़ाने के लिए भी एक ट्रेनिंग आवश्यक होती है. ऐसे अगर हम लोग कर रहे हैं ऐसे बोल के कर लेते हैं कि हाँ करना है इसलिए करना है, ऐसा नहीं है. तो समझ के करना है कि क्यों कर रहे हैं हम लोग. ये एक इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक था वहाँ पे. हरे कृष्ण. एनीथिंग एल्स? स्वयं प्रकाश प्रभु जी. हाँ, यहाँ पे हैं. अरे बोल. थैंक यू. स्वयं प्रकाश प्रभु जी जो ब्रह्मचारी है हमारे किसी मंदिर के, जिनकी कृपा से आज महाराज का आश्रम हमें मिला हुआ है. हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, कैन यू कम ऑनलाइन?
हरे कृष्णा. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for
हरे कृष्ण
this wonderful class. Maharaj was sharing so many simple examples and making us understand.
हरे कृष्ण
Thank you.
थैंक यू very much.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so yeah, कोई और प्रश्न नहीं? Okay. चलिए ठीक है, तो आज का प्रोग्राम यहीं पे कंक्लूड करते हैं हम लोग, एंड इसकी रिकॉर्डिंग आपको हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पे मिल जाएगी आज की, तो लिंक है, मैं फिर से अपने ग्रुप में शेयर कर दूंगा इसको, ठीक है? ओके, हरे कृष्णा।
ओके, हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
नमो नमः।
प्रभु जी,
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
प्रणाम। हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
कृष्ण
हरे
प्रभु
कृष्णा
जी।
माता जी। हरे कृष्ण।